sign up to KiwiSaver, you can opt out, yes. Okay, if you don't opt out, well then you stay out. Okay, now there has been two other percentages that have been added onto that for your contribution. They've added 6% and 10%, so you can put that into your KiwiSaver as well. But how the money trail thingy works, it goes like this. Here is you, then you have your employer, who you let know that you want to go into KiwiSaver. They then contact IRD, because that's where the government portion is coming from. It's coming from IRD. And then it goes from IRD to your KiwiSaver provider. Okay, I'll call it KP. And your KiwiSaver providers are usually banks or investment firms. Okay, so that's kind of how the money trail works. Now, if you have no idea who your KiwiSaver provider should be, you know, your employer usually has a KiwiSaver provider that they work with. So sometimes it can go from you to your employer, and then they use these people. And then the banks let IRD know the government portion needs to come to them. But there's nothing to say that you can't actually choose whoever you want. You might decide you want these people to be your KiwiSaver provider. And if that's the case, then you let them know, and then they let everyone else know that the money comes to them. And those people will then be investing your money. Okay, now I did a bit of calculations. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm going to put up there, if you were to start, let's say when you are 30 years of age, okay, and let's say you were putting 8% contribution into your KiwiSaver provider, do you know that by the time you hit 65, you should have around 247,820? And that is if you were to put money into your KiwiSaver regularly and not have stopped. Okay? So this figure is actually based on minimum wage, and I do actually have to point out, I actually did this on a minimum wage of $15.75. And our minimum wage is what, $18.90 now? So you probably will have a little bit more than that. But I did it on a much lower minimum.
And that's your own contribution, or is that with all the...
That's with so that's with your minimum wage, the employer's 3%. Your KiwiSaver provider has put you on a conservative fund, you know, and no holidays means you've never stopped putting money into your KiwiSaver. You never took a holiday.
And government contribution as well.
Yeah. So it's with all the contributions going into it. Okay, you should get around that kind of figure. Okay, so and the funny thing is that it does depend on how your money is being invested. Now, I don't know if you guys know how investment kind of works. So,
Dylan, can you tell me how much 3% is on, or how much the on a minimum wage? How much would 3% be on the minimum wage?
That's $15.
yeah,
15, is it?
Yeah,
Oh.
roughly around.
Oh.
So the minimum wage that I worked it from was $15.75. That was the minimum wage. Because it's now changed, because I haven't changed this for about a couple of years since they actually had upped it. Okay, so that's how I got that figure there. Now, if you don't understand what that conservative fund means, it's all around investment. So I thought it was actually quite interesting to learn how that works. Sorry?
Low, medium and high?
Yes. So I might just rub this out just to give you a bit of space here. Now, there are these things called class assets. Okay? But you just need to know that they are investments. Okay? Now, there are 4 types of investments or class assets, and they are cash, fixed interest or bonds, the other one is property, and the last one is shares. Okay, so those are the 4 ways in which your money can get invested. So just to give you an example of a cash class asset or a cash investment, it's like a short-term deposit. Have you heard of those? You can get them at the bank. So let's just say you put $2,000 into a short-term deposit at the bank and it earns 3% interest. You could leave that there for 2 years, and after 2 years, you've made yourself $2,500. So by doing nothing and just leaving your money in there, you made $500 by doing nothing. Okay, you just left your money there. Okay, that's what we call a cash class asset or a cash investment. Now, this second one here, fixed interest or bonds. Now, the way that I explain bonds is, like this. Imagine that you actually had a friend who was going to open up a gym business. Now, they knew that you had 10 grand in the bank, and he gives you a proposal and says to you, if you invest your 10 grand into my gym business, I promise that after 2 years, I will give you your $10,000 back and I will make you 5 grand profit. Okay? And what they will do is they will draw up a contract, stating that this is what our agreement is, and sign that, and that is what we call a bond. So just from that deal alone, or that bond alone, you made 5 grand. Okay, after a 2-year period. Property, we all understand the property market. You might buy a house at say 300,000, and then within 6 months the property market's gone up, and now your house is worth 500,000. So you sell it at 500,000, you've made 200 grand just by waiting 6 months, and you now actually have 2 grand. All right. So that is what we call the property market. Now the funny thing with the property market is that just as much as the property market goes up, it also can go down. So it is about you being able to understand the property market when it goes up and down. And you want to be able to buy and sell at the right time to be able to make the most out of your money. Okay? Whereas shares, that's even more volatile. Okay, that goes up and down daily. And in fact, how shares actually work is, one, imagine, and I'm going to use Air New Zealand as an example. Probably a bad example, but I'll use it anyway. But let's just say you have shares within Air New Zealand. Now, when Air New Zealand makes a profit, and they make profits in the millions, you get a portion of that profit when you own shares. Okay? So the funny thing is that you can make, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars within the share market. And sometimes, as I said, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But we have your KiwiSaver provider have these different types of funds. And they are conservative, growth, and then there's balanced. But like you said, low, medium, high. Same thing. Some places give it a name. Okay? But the conservative fund actually invests your money into these areas here. Why? Because it's a lot safer. It'll grow your money slow and steady. Whereas a growth fund, they invest your money into these areas because that's going to grow up really quickly because you make a lot more money from it. Whereas a balanced fund actually invests your money in all 4. So they spread it all out. So when you look at your KiwiSaver, have a look at what fund they chuck you in. Because, most times they automatically chuck you into a conservative fund when you first start with KiwiSaver. Okay? You might decide that, no, I think I might want to actually go and put it in a growth fund. And you can change it. You don't have to put it into a conservative fund if you don't want to.
High return or high risk?
And it's high risk, yes, you're right. But you don't tend to lose as much as I thought you would lose. What happens is that you might have 1 year where you might be able to double it just in 1 year, but you might find the following year you're going to get a small bit of growth.
In COVID, it lost a lot.
Yeah, and a lot of people wanted to draw out, which they were allowing people to draw their money out. But the issue with that, though, is, and I had to say to people, look, you have to trust that it's going to come back again. I said, leave it there, don't take it out. And, not long after that, money came back.
Yeah, the COVID, my one dropped like $7 grand or something.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I said to people, yes, people are looking at this, but I guarantee you keep it there, it'll go right back up again.
It's gone back up
Yeah.
to the one.
So, and that's what happened with mine, and I knew that would happen. It's just that people panic, and when they panic, they start taking things up because they don't want to lose any more. But I had to try to reassure people. I know you don't have to follow what I'm saying, but leave it.
I don't understand how $7 grand can just disappear within like 2 weeks and then just reappear.
Yeah, no, that's right, and that's because this is how volatile our market is. Because you might lose it just like that, but it'll come back. You just gotta, have faith that that money will get back there again. Okay, but what I've actually done with mine is I've actually swapped KiwiSaver providers. Only because I've been watching. Have you ever seen this website called Morningstar?
No.
This website actually monitors all KiwiSaver providers, and they have a table with the top 10 best performers in KiwiSaver providers. And so I started looking at where my KiwiSaver provider was, and I'm sitting there thinking, shit, you're not even in the top 10. So I thought, I'm going to have to actually look at some of these other ones that seem to be performing better. So I did. I rang one of these KiwiSaver providers that were performing in the top 5. And I wanted to ask them more questions and stuff, and so I did. And they actually answered all my questions that I felt comfortable. And then I actually said to them, so how do I change? They said, you don't have to do anything. We'll do that all for you.
Yeah.
And very next day, literally changed. It all happened just at the drop of a hat. And so I moved to them. And I think one of the things that I liked about, I was with AMP. I think that's run by the ANZ Bank. Okay, now they were my KiwiSaver provider, and honestly, there was nothing wrong with them. They were really nice. The service was great. They didn't do anything wrong. But after I learnt on their performance compared to some of the other KiwiSaver providers, I thought, when I realised that I wanted to be with a KiwiSaver provider that was going to make me more money, I thought, right, this is what I'm going to do. So I literally, so I was asking questions with this other company called Simplicity. And I only had it on a 3%. Okay, so that's what I had mine at. But this Simplicity KiwiSaver provider, they were performing really well with those who were at 3%. I mean, if you were in like 4 or 8% and stuff, there is, I think, at the moment, there's another company that are better than Simplicity at the 4 and 8% bracket. But because mine wasn't at 4 or 8%, I went with the one that had 3%. And I thought, right. But one of the questions that I asked them, I said, now, when you guys make money, what happens with that money? Because, obviously as a KiwiSaver provider, they have to make money. One of the things I liked about this particular company is that a lot of the money that they make